Welcome to Issues. We're so happy that you joined us this evening. As you know, issues deal with community topics and community individuals. This evening, we're happy to have with us Teo, one of the few people in Bermuda we can call by their first name and everyone knows who we're talking about. But just in case you don't know his last name, his name is Thaao Dill, and he's now a recruiter with Bermuda College, and we're so very happy to have him. Thaao, welcome.
Good evening, sir, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
My first question. Dr. Green, the president of the college, mentions that one will find a student-centered life at Bermuda College. Please elaborate on that.
Well, I've been thinking about the best way to respond to that question that fully explains exactly what Dr. Green was referring to. And rather than having an abstract conversation about principles and values, I can tell you about something that happened a couple of weeks ago. We had a young student show up, middle of the day, to my office in her high school uniform, making it clear that the high school that she occupied was no longer a place that she could further her academic experience. It just wasn't working for her. Now, she did not want to disengage from academia. She just needed to be somewhere other than where she was. And could she attend Bermuda College? Now, this is a couple of weeks into the spring semester. So registration has been closed for some time. Classes have been going on. On the surface, there would be nothing that we could do. But being a student-centered environment, that was an insufficient response to my mind. So I took her to see the dean of the liberal arts division, Nachika Trott, and explained the situation. She said, right, well, if you can satisfy this requirement, supply this, I can move these parts around and make it so that you can start classes later this week. We then went to the registrar's office with Ms. Carlene Place. Same response. We can make this happen, move this around to make it so you can join us this week. We went to the accounts department to see Mr. Lennox Cumberbatch. Same response. This student is our priority. We'll do what we need to do to make her get where she needs to be. We then traveled throughout the entire school space with the individual lecturers that she'd be dealing with later that week. And long story short, she's been in class for a couple weeks now, excelling. That's what a student-centered life looks like at Bermuda College. The student arrives, expresses their needs, we assess them, and we meet them. That's what it looks like.
Wow. And then also what I'm hearing you saying that each person is an individual. You meet them
Absolutely.
where they are and
Absolutely.
take them from there.
Absolutely.
That's true education.
Yeah. Well, the chief operating principle that I've understood to guide me in this space is that every single student is my chief priority. Absolutely. That's a non-negotiable premise that I operate from, and I'm so glad to say that that is the environment that the Bermuda College operates in. Every student is our priority.
Now, you are the recruiter at Bermuda College. Why does a college that sits in an island, 21, 22 square miles, 60 to 65,000 people, need a recruiter?
To be honest with you, sir, the glib answer is the fact that question even needs to be asked is exactly why this position is important and needs to be filled by somebody who's trying to communicate Bermuda College's message to the island as fully as possible. We are not utilized to the degree that we should be. To have a successful life in the 21st century, having some degree of tertiary education is a prerequisite. It makes it so much more difficult for you to provide for yourself and your family, to experience upward mobility in whatever profession you choose to pursue without some kind of college experience. And it's a significant portion of our population that does not have that college experience. And to my mind, there is absolutely no reason for that to be, seeing as we are there and we are here to provide this college experience to everyone who needs it in this country. So the reason that we need a recruitment officer, is because we are underutilized, frankly, and I'm doing what I can to fix that.
Do you get out to the high schools?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Not just the high schools, mind you. One of the things that is, I think, key for us nationally in order to experience the kind of progress and growth that we need as a population is the adoption of this central premise That is to say, it should be absolutely unremarkable for our students to attend college, as unremarkable as it is for them to attend primary school. Like it's non-negotiable. There's no debate, no confusion. You just know, child goes to primary school. Nobody talks about it. It just happens. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Child goes to middle school. Child goes to high school. There's no conversation. There's no debate. It just is so. College needs to be as non-negotiable, as unremarkable as the other components of that academic sequence, because that is what our people need to have successful and progressive lives.
The term non-negotiable, does that mean that college is for everyone?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I genuinely believe that. Because college is not the kind of space that is as narrowly defined as in years past. We have an applied sciences department, that is to say a technical education center, mm-hmm. that is the home for technical education in Bermuda for the 21st century. So if a student has an interest in, say, becoming an electrician or pursuing any kind of technical trade, we can give you the access to the academic, theoretical knowledge that you require to be successful in that space, mm-hmm. as well as the hands-on practical experience. Dean Trott and his team are excellent at looking after every single student that they get. And again, that's just the applied sciences department. Mm-hmm. Our liberal arts department is just as successful at meeting folks where they're at. Business administration and hospitality, same situation. So college is for everybody because, let's be clear, everybody, well, if you don't have some degree of college experience, you're less likely to have a successful life. Mm-hmm. That's what all the statistics show. That's what the data demonstrates. With that in mind, Bermuda College needs to be at the forefront of every parent and student's mind in this country. Mm-hmm.
Does that mean, when we talk about college, and you talked about the applied science, the technical part of the college, so are you saying that while some may be geared to the academic side, others may be geared to the technical side of college, the hospitality side of college?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, not everyone is an individual. Mm-hmm. I have my gifts. There are things that I am good at. I'm confident saying that I'm a reasonably good writer, a reasonably good interpreter of written information and repeater of it, as I think I've been able to demonstrate throughout my professional career. Mm-hmm. I have genuine problems changing a light bulb. Seriously, it can get kind of hectic in my apartment when the need arises. My point is that doesn't mean I'm any less of a person mm-hmm. than somebody who is better dealing with technical things but isn't necessarily so adept at dealing with written language. And neither are they any less than me because they have that separate skill set. We are all legitimately, in the most fundamental way, absolutely equal. We just all have our different gifts. And Bermuda College's diverse academic space mm-hmm. provides the environment for everybody to find not just their passion, but learn how to get really good at it too.
Yeah. I'm so glad you elaborated on that because there's some individuals, they're feeling, if I'm not the best academically, if I don't have a BA, MA, PhD, then what am I? Mm. But you pointed out the technical side, the electrician, the plumber. Those folks make a lot of money.
Well, absolutely. And let me be absolutely clear here, because I think sometimes a misleading dichotomy gets established when people talk about folks who are gifted in the technical trades. Dean Trott, Llewellyn Trott, the head of the Applied Sciences Department, he expressed this to me in the absolute perfect way, and I repeat it as often as I possibly can. In order for you to be good with your hands, you've got to be good with your head too. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Yes. Yes.
Like the amount of physics that's involved in being a plumber, like the basic electronics technology required to be a modern electrician nowadays, it's really, really complicated. So somebody who's gifted with their hands, mm-hmm. by definition, they're also gifted with their head. Okay. Trust me, and don't let anybody tell you different.
That's true. I didn't think about that, but you're quite right. Now, Bermuda College boasts itself to be a virtual campus. Yeah. What does that mean?
Well, what that means is, in practice, that you can get access online to your coursework, to your lecturers, as long as you're plugged into the internet. Mm-hmm. So there is in the 21st century, no need for you to be unplugged from the resources you require to be successful at Bermuda College. And that's accessible to every single student that we have. Folks taking, registered to take individual classes or full program students, folks pursuing certificates, diplomas in every single discipline. You're connected.
Okay. Also, rolling admissions. I noticed that you have rolling admissions. Mm-hmm. What is that?
Well, what that means in practice is that basically our admissions process never stops. So if you would like to join for example, fall semester of a program, associate's degree in any number of disciplines, you can send in your application now, either online or bring it to the registrar's office in the college center. What rolling admissions means is we always keep the admissions rolling. Never stops. We always want the space to be as accessible as possible to our students.
You can apply anytime during the 12 months.
Absolutely.
At all. Now, in order to enter Bermuda College or BC, is there a particular GPA or grade point average that one needs?
Not by definition, no. What we do have as I guess, first step rubric to assess what coursework will be best for our students is something called the College Placement Test. And that's an assessment of your math and English skills to determine exactly which classes you'll be most successful in. Because if the classes you're placed in are beneath your skill set, that's a regressive experience, one that's more likely to end up in frustration and wasted time. Equally, if the classes you're placed in are you're not quite prepared to be successful in, that's going to be just as frustrating and increase the likelihood of failure, and that's not desirable either. So the college placement test is the basic rubric that we use to get people in.
Now, when you talk about placement tests, do you find that some students, if they're not prepared to do the entrance college level, 101, whatever, that they need to take remedial courses?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we do offer a range of those, particularly in the spaces related to math and English. And there is no shame in that, frankly. I'll be absolutely honest with you. I've been in this role for just a few months now. And the vast majority of folks that I've dealt with, now this is including traditional students, that is high school moving right into college, people that have been overseas, who've done some university, even some folks who completed academic certifications in their professional life, people that have been working in the professional space for decades even. Most people need some level of prep to get up to college level English and math at the basic level. So there's no shame in that on any level.
How are you finding the students, the freshmen that come in? Are you finding most of them prepared, half of them prepared? How are you finding that?
Well, it's kind of hard to quantify at this stage, but what I would say is that the students that come to Bermuda College are interested in being successful at Bermuda College. And as long as that commitment is there, I think that they've made the sufficient preparation to win in our environment. Now, they may need a little extra academic support in order to achieve that goal, but as long as they're committed to reaching it, we'll give them the support. We'll give them the resources, we'll provide them the tools, we'll ensconce them in this space that will lead them to the success they want. But if they show up ready to succeed, they're prepared, to my mind.
My last question before the break. How are you finding the preparation of the students, not academically, but mentally and attitudinally? Are they ready for the college, the maturity that college brings?
Right. So we get to this after the break.
We'll come up for that right after the break. Welcome back to Issues. Again, we would welcome any emails from you, and you may email us at issuesbda@yahoo.com. Once again, it's issuesbda@yahoo.com. Theo, before we went to the break, we were talking about the attitudes of young people, not necessarily academically, but that maturity level. Do you find that many of them are prepared for the challenges that college brings?
In many ways, I think this is one of Bermuda College's greatest assets. That is to say, providing a bridge between high school and legitimate, full self-sufficiency and independence, qualities that are required for successful university students that will be pursuing their academic goals off island. So with that in mind, they may arrive at Bermuda College with a genuine commitment and even academic aptitude to be successful, but they're just not ready to be fully self-sufficient, in control of their entire day in the way that you need to be a successful university student. Over the course of the Bermuda College career, however, we provide them with the guidance, support, and instruction necessary so that when they leave, they're completely self-sufficient learners and are able to go on to further success. Because I'm sure, sir, that you have folks in your life who occupy this category. Academically prepared, ready to soar intellectually. Go off to university after meeting all the academic requirements, but return home after 3-4 months. Not because they weren't able to deal with the coursework, but because they weren't able to live alone in a dorm room by themselves and still look after their lives. So they're ready academically, but what Bermuda College can do is provide them with that overall socialization growth needed. So that's a very roundabout way of saying that when they arrive, they may not be as fully mature as they need to be, but that's what we're there for, to help them get there.
What do you say to a parent and a student who may be trying to decide, do I go away to school? Do I stay here for 2 years? What is the key factor that Bermuda College could say to keep them here?
In a very immediate sense, and forgive me if this is crass, but you can get the same level of academic study, like the foundational first 2 years of virtually any bachelor's degree that you're going on to pursue for a fraction of the cost. And when I say at the same level of academic rigor, I mean it. This is not hubris, this is not hyperbole. We have been accredited for some years now by the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. This is the same body that provides accreditation to Harvard. So that's where we are with our coursework, and that's where we are with our level of instruction. So why would you go overseas to get basically the same level of instruction at exponentially the cost? I mean, the question to me is not like, why should I choose Bermuda College? It's more, why not? Yeah. It just makes more sense, I believe.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. In your literature, I noted that each student has a counselor.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of that counselor?
To give them the support necessary to be successful in a college environment. And I can say with all confidence that our counseling team is as committed to their students as anybody could possibly be. The students walk in to the college, and they're, in practical terms, the first major relationship that they form on campus with any member of the BC team. They identify what their long-term career goals are, what the most effective pathway in reaching them academically would be. They're there, beyond any kind of structural guidance, just as a shoulder to lean on. If things are going a little poorly with a particular lecturer, they can help them out and fix that relationship problem. If they're having issues even in their home life, like that's what the counselors are there for. I mean, it's seriously, it's a good environment. I've had the opportunity to take several students down there that needed that level of support way at the front end of the process, and every single member of that team has been immediately available and immediately effective in supporting the students. So that's what the counselors are for.
Let's go back a little bit to the cost. the charges or cost at Bermuda College, is it per credit hour?
Yes. Yeah.
How much per credit hour is it?
Most classes are 3 credits. Some are 2, some are 4. For a Bermudian who qualifies for discounted tuition, that would 3 credit class would be $307 or so. If you don't qualify for discounted tuition, it's $480. Now, the more credits that you take, the less aggregate cost is attached. So 18 credits, which would be 1/4 of a 64 credit degree, which is about the median for our degrees. That 18 credit cost for a Bermudian qualifying for discounted tuition is under $1,200. So, as I say, you can't really beat the price.
Absolutely. Now, I also, in your literature, it talked about scholarships. How does one qualify?
Well, there are any number of scholarships that are available to any number of different sorts of students that are pursuing different career paths, that are engaging in different disciplines. And what I recommend more than anything else is that folks, A, pursue the scholarships offered by the college proper, but also visit bermudascholarships.bm because there are literally tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, in scholarship resources that go unused every year.
Unused?
Unused. And when I say unused, I be even more precise, unapplied for.
Okay.
So it's not even like it's difficult to find appropriate candidates. It's that nobody even sends in an essay. And that is very hard for me to hear, considering the fact that I know there are so many people on this island that have such a bright future, but they just don't have the resources to go where they want to go. And yet there's all this money floating around that they're not pursuing. So I really, really wish that our folks would just do a little more Googling on the subject. And if you need a little help, give me a call.
Good. Now, Ted, what are some of the more popular diploma programs that are at the college?
At the moment, I would have to say I think that the culinary arts diploma is probably the most popular. Now, to be clear, the thing that separates our diplomas from our degree programs, broadly speaking, is that the diplomas are generally designed to get people ready for entrance into industry, whereas the degree programs are generally designed to get you ready for further study.
Yes.
So with that in mind, our culinary arts program, which is run by our instructors, our chefs, our brilliant chefs, Chef Ming and Chef Eve, they have really vibrant class populations and they do some amazing work. I am not exactly sure of the specific percentage down to the most granular level, but the vast majority of students who go through the culinary arts program end up with work on the other side of it.
So you have a placement office?
Yes, absolutely. That's part of the process to get either your degree or your diploma in culinary arts. There's a professional internship built into it, and most of the students end up working for the establishments that they intern with because they are that good, frankly.
Very good. Now, let's kind of shift a little bit. Now, Theo, you used to be on the radio.
Sir.
Used to, from time to time, would listen to you. And my personal opinion is that you're witty, you're intelligent, you're one of Bermuda's young superstars.
That's very generous of you, sir. I am 30 now, so I think young is a prefix and probably go at this point.
Compared to my age, you're young. Now, why would you give up what seemed like a very prosperous occupation, career, and move over to Bermuda College?
A whole bunch of reasons, to be honest with you. None of them negative. I was in that space and very grateful to be in that space, working for Inter-Island Communications for the better part of a decade. And I, in a very measurable way, grew up there. So I owe so much to the IIC network of stations and their proprietors. I mean, without their support and their guidance, I would not be as successful and happy as I am. But after doing it for as long as I'd done, I needed to pursue some new challenges. And I tell you, sir, I'll be absolutely honest with you. When I was going through this process of realizing I needed to pursue new challenges, sort of casually, going through the classifieds, as you do. And when I saw
I can't picture Thaao going through the classified. I would think Thaao would have to say, well, I'm looking for a new challenge, and your phone would start ringing automatically.
That's very generous, sir. I appreciate it. But I did, casually go through the classifieds. And when I saw the ad for the recruitment officer for the Bermuda College, it was like I was hit with a bolt of lightning. Like, not only did I immediately say, I want to do that, I immediately thought I could be pretty good at that, and started to think of different things I could do, like really practical plans, like writing stuff down. Like, if I get it for 6 weeks, we can get this accomplished, and instantaneous affection for the opportunity. I mean, you see, just like talking about it, I get excited because on a very basic level, looking after folks means a lot to me. Like supporting people and helping them become exactly who they want to be is such a gift. Being able to do that professionally. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to do it just in your day-to-day life, but for this to be my job, to help people find their way to success, I mean, it's like, I am a very lucky person. I really am.
Let me ask your opinion on some of the things that's happening in the Bermudian society today. We hear all this gang violence taking place, and it's the young people, the black young men, and from what I'm understanding, there's some females now getting involved. What is the youth missing? Are they missing anything for them to get involved in gang violence?
I think that what they're missing, and it's very hard to quantify as a relative bystander. And I say relative because this is my peer group. These are my friends. These are people I went to primary school with. These are people I cried with and bled with. And to see them dying consistently in this way is distinctly painful. But as I say, from a relative bystander, because I'm not engaged in the behavior directly, what I think so many of my peers are missing is a sense of value about their own life. And the reason I've come to that conclusion is because if you are comfortable actively pursuing murder, that means implicitly at least you're comfortable with the potential of you being murdered being exponentially increased. So for you to want to end up somebody's life, your life cannot be that relevant to you. And that, I think, is the heart of what these young men are missing. A sense that they're valuable, a sense that they are, in fact, as precious as they are. And I wish that I knew how one would generate that sense of self-worth.
Let me ask this. They just told me we have 1 minute left.
Sure.
But in terms of solutions, do we look to education? Do we look to the family? Do we look to the church? Do we look to the government? Who do we look to for a solution?
It has to be as comprehensive a solution as possible, but it's got to begin from this core operating principle. That is, we all believe, and we act on this belief intentionally, forcefully, that every single member of our community matters. This is not an abstract idea. This is concrete. And what I mean by that is when you see somebody that is in need, either of some time or some resources or just some love, you provide it preconditionally. That is what our starting point should be.
But most of us, as we look at gang violence, most of us are fearful.
That fear will remain. Okay, we are already frightened. So I don't know how confronting that fear is going to make it any worse. I mean, obviously it's going to be scary to put yourself in potentially dangerous situations, but we are all collectively experiencing immensely dangerous situations. So the fear to me is immaterial at this point. What really matters is us, all of us, them especially, because they don't know it, and they act like they don't know it.
Thank you. Wise words from one of our intellectual giants in Bermuda, Thaao Dill.
Thank you,
You've
sir.
been
That's very
watching-
generous.
You've been
Appreciate it.
watching Issues, and please look for